We've all seen them on TV, muscle-bound men and women taking to a ring in an elaborate display of physical skill and overdramatic acting, all to the roars of a cheering crowd. But how much of the ensuing fight is real, and how much of it is just carefully coordinated stunts? Are professional wrestlers real-life modern gladiators, or just pumped-up stage actors? Hello and welcome to another episode of The Infographic Show. Today we're asking, you versus a WWE fighter. Could you defeat him? The WWE was founded in 1952 by Jess McMahon and Toots Monk as Capital Wrestling Corporation. Originally a boxing and wrestling promotion company, CWC quickly began to grow into its entity and eventually became the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, or WWWF, then the World Wrestling Federation, or WWF, until finally becoming World Wrestling Entertainment in 2002. Today, it's the largest professional wrestling company in the world and airs its programs in more than 150 countries, with 12 pay-per-view events a year and 230 live events a year throughout the world. In 2014, it even launched the first ever 24/7 streaming network, which showcases the entire WWE video library. Dubbed Sports Entertainment for its highly orchestrated storylines and pre-rehearsed matches, professional wrestling nonetheless is a grueling and challenging career that takes top strength and stamina both. If you're going up against a professional wrestler, forget what you've heard from your friends about wrestling being fake. The moves may be highly orchestrated, but you're still going up against one of the strongest and most agile professional athletes in the world. Once described as requiring the grace of ballet performers with the strength of powerlifters, professional wrestlers are in peak physical condition, with daily routines that include total body strength training exercises and intense cardio training. Their lives are so intense and their performance schedule so packed that they are the only professional sport without an off-season. Professional wrestling also includes one of the highest injury and death rates of any professional sport. Some of the most famous injuries suffered included Sid Vicious snapping his leg in half after a botched leap from the top ropes, Joey Mercury breaking his nose and requiring reconstructive surgery after taking a ladder to the face, and even a ripped butt after WWE superstar X-Pac jumped into a turnbuckle which ripped his anus in half. That last one might sound funny, but it required major surgery. Other injuries have included multiple broken necks, permanent spinal damage, ripped off ears, and a cut artery. Shockingly, most of these wrestlers continued to fight, often just days or weeks after their horrific injuries. And if you still think wrestling is fake, and you could easily take on a WWE wrestler, consider the hardcore matches. Special events where traditional wrestling rules such as disqualifications, countouts, and tapouts don't apply, and typically take place in an unusual environment and involve improvised weapons, thumbtacks, barbed wire, light tubes, and the such. Popularized in Japan, which hosted several hardcore wrestling organizations, the style quickly made the move to the US and became wildly popular across America and eventually the world. Focusing on shock value, blood, sweat, and gore over the technical skills and acrobatics of regular wrestling, hardcore wrestling puts its fighters in serious risk of injury or even death. Hardcore matches are typically broken down into different categories, including 24/7 title match, where a wrestler must defend his or her title at all times and at all places. The premise being that the current champion could be jumped and attacked from out of the blue, and some notable matches have taken place in hotel rooms, supermarkets, the airport, and even in an arcade. A no-holds-barred match tends to take place strictly inside a ring and is the less severe of hardcore-style matches, with minimal use of foreign objects or outrageously dangerous stunts. A street fight match uses various elements of no-holds-barred and no disqualification, but generally tosses most of wrestling's rules and regulations to allow for creative submissions. A death match is the most brutal form of hardcore wrestling, with heavy emphasis on the use of improvised weapons and stunts that result in a great deal of blood loss. Items commonly used in death matches include fire, barbed wire, thumbtacks, razor blades, syringes, beds of nails, staple guns, and even some cactus plants. The point is to be extremely graphic, brutal, and dangerous. In recent years, some state commissions have cracked down on the types and frequency of weapons used. A hardcore match, or Raven's Rules match, is not quite as bloody or brutal as a death match, but still involves the use of improvised weapons and takes elements from street fights and matches perhaps starting in the ring, but quickly spreading out of it. Staple gun matches are more prominent among the lesser-known wrestling circuits and typically take the form of normal singles, doubles, triples, four-ways, or melee matches, with the added caveat that some specific object must be stapled to an opponent's body, typically dollar bills. Though the intent of weapons and various implements used in hardcore matches is always to draw maximum blood while doing nothing more than superficial damage, the risk of serious injury or even death is still very real. And with their limited adoption into the mainstream wrestling circuit such as WWE, if you're planning on taking on a WWE fighter and winning, you'd better be prepared to face an opponent who is no stranger to death and extreme physical torture. So could you take on a WWE fighter and survive? The average wrestler has likely seen their fair share of hardcore matches either in their days before joining mainstream wrestling or perhaps in special events during their time with the WWE. And even though a death match is only one in name, a real-life, unscripted, unregulated brawl versus a WWE professional wrestler could very well turn into a real death match for you, unless you're in peak physical condition and have trained in various martial arts yourself. We're going to put our money on a no. You could not defeat a WWE fighter, not even with the power of Despacito. Think we're wrong? Is wrestling all just a bunch of show, or are these men and women real professional athletes? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video, You versus Jason. Could you defeat him? Thanks for watching, and as always, please like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.